Hello everyone at Frontside Sync. I'm going to go through the EPC.training website today, both the back end and the front end. This is a different situation than a normal website in that we're actually logging in all users, and all user management and everything is handled by a group called EGIA, where you log in, and when you get inside of EGIA, and I'll show you that, you will access EPC training materials in a very different looking website. There is a document that describes how this handoff goes when you use this login button and then access our content. There's a handshake, it opens in a new window. I'll show you that. This is the back end of the site, which is used to power and load up all the documents. Essentially what this is video documents and sample spreadsheets and audio files and marketing materials, all sorts of different things that support residential HVAC contractors, plumbers, electricians. So this is where myself and my business partner Gary, we log in to the back end to load the content. So this is the dashboard. All the content is loaded into business principles and business principle sublevels. And all the content is focused around each of these areas. So for example, leadership principles is the number one business principle we have. There are 10 business principle sublevels in the leadership category, and then they apply to different industry verticals. Leadership, I believe, is going to apply to general, so don't worry about that. This is just a status on-off toggle, which makes it turn off on the front end if we did it, and then you can go into edit mode. And there's also these are, restacking and reordering, which I don't want to do. So if we go down into leadership principles, here are the 10 business sub-levels of leadership principles. Leadership principles, developing a vision, developing core values. And then for each sub-principle, we have video content, documents, sample templates, audio files, and then questions. We call these business evaluator questions, where they answer questions about how well they're performing on leadership principles. If they answer no to the questions, we then do attachments that show, well, here are the actual files that will help that HVAC contractor or plumber turn these questions from a no to a yes. So if I edit that, this is the business principle sublevel. It's essentially just a form filled out CMS. Here's the name of the principle, the description, what industry verticals it is in. In this case, general, plumbing, and electrical are choices. Industry verticals is actually something that's going to change. That's a change we're looking for down the road. It's a little clunky right now, and I think everything is listed under general right now. We then tag it for popular search. So we have the ability to add additional tags, which then could be reused, and it helps the contractors find the information they're looking for. Oftentimes in our industry, the same exact thing. For example, service agreements are also referred to as maintenance agreements. They're also referred to as club agreements. So we use tags to help contractors figure those things out. And again, a toggle for whether this is an active business principle sublevel or not. And then within here, for example, I can load up, these are 7 videos, and the videos are just Vimeo links. So when you edit this particular video, very similar title, author, so you can choose the authors, which are loaded up under this consultants and faculty. So you choose who the author is, a description of what this video is. You can choose to load up an actual video file or just do it a video URL, and again, tags, again, status. So that's the basic functioning of adding content. This is where Gary, Alex, and I, the owners of this is where we load all our content for delivering on the front end. I'm going to go back to sub-principles. You'll see it's a very similar format for documents, templates, and audio. In this case, it's a small difference for documents: title, author, description, tags. There's a downloadable file and a view file. So usually the downloadable file is the one that's editable. It's in the .doc, so the contractor can edit it and make it work for themselves. Or if they just want to view it, it's in a PDF so that it loads in the browser cleanly, as opposed to Word docs not necessarily opening in a browser cleanly. So view and download for documents. And back to the business sub-principles. Templates, audios are very similar. Questions, you can basically add a new question, put in the question text. It's just an active or inactive status. And I'm going to keep going back to, business sub-principles. The same with attachments. You attach questions, basically which, it looks like this is not working very well. This shows a lot of checkbox documents, a lot of documents that are checked, yet the total here says 2. So I've actually discovered a bug as we've gone through here, and I don't know if it's a bug on the way it displays or if it's just a bug on the way it's showing it on the back end, so we'll have to dive into that one. But that's the basic, that's the heart of the system, the businesses and the business sub-principles. You can add and subtract industry verticals fairly easily. You can manage tags, so adding the tags and how they're used. You can also add them in real time as you develop content. As you load a video, if you add a new tag, it now shows up here on this tag list. Consultants and faculty, we do have a front-end page where we show the consultants' basic stuff. Name, address, description, some contact information, and an image. Support queries. There is an FAQ tool, frequently asked questions tool, that gets submitted to the system via the front end. There's a form, and this is where they come back in for processing. So you can see here's a guy who asked a question and what that question is. We also get this emailed, and 99.9% of the time, no one ever logs in here to look at these support queries. They all just go to email and handled via email once the question is submitted. Because there is an FAQ tool itself where you could actually add, if they were using the support queries, they could add question and answers to the FAQ tool, but it just never got developed. It's there, it may never be developed. Members. So the way users log into the system, I'll show you next, is they log into their EGIA account, Electric Gas Industry Association account. Then they click on a training button, which leads them to EPC training, as you can see from the URL up here, EPC training. This is a log file of every member that's logged into the system. So if it's a brand new system brand new member who's coming into the system, they'll get added to this list. If we change it to all, there are a vast number, as you can see, of people. But here is a guy right here who was added to the system yesterday. Here's one that was added today. And then inside of that, you can view, this is the activity log for the view. God, this sucks. Get off the page. So we did not know what the client wanted in terms of reporting. So what we did is we just logged every activity that each member did. So in this case, this member logged in. This is a member last login updated. It was updated day 24. It was the very beginning. Then they went to the home page. They watched this video called the Tool Policy for Your Company. There's the video. Here's the time. They watched another video called Employee Handbook. They then went to the business principal sub-level page of 86, which is not very helpful now that I'm looking at this log. They spent 9 seconds on the other business principal page. They went to another video, Code of Conduct, and watched for 5 and 45 minutes. Anyway, So one of the things we need to do right away is dump 3 months of this data into a CSV file for their analysis. It's one of the projects that we're going to have once you guys have gone through the discovery phase on how all this code works. And then to make it easier for us to visualize the content, we just build it in a more standard tree, so you could just see all the content on one page fairly easily in a more traditional structured menu tree. It's for Gary to easily find whether he's done videos or not, or what videos he has to make in the future. And then again, this is the admin side, and it's simple enough at this point. You just log out. So I'm going to log out, and then I'm going to bring into the end. So that's the back side of the system. How it works, obviously got a few things we want to tweak and change in there. From the front side, what happens is we go to login, and this is on the EGIA site, electric gas industry. I'm already preloaded with my membership information. We don't handle any of this website. We have no connection to this technologically speaking. We can request changes. We can work with their IT department, but this is handled all on their side. I think they just moved to Microsoft Dynamics for login. Okay, so once you get into the dashboard, and this is for paid members only, you can go to the contractor training, and then this is our area. It's called Contracting Best Practices Library. And so when you click on that, it's now doing the back-end handshake that we provided a document that tells you how that handshake is done. It's an encryption with a URL string with some encrypted code, and it does the handshake. And the key for us that we get is this member logged in, and we get their email address, and that's the member ID, which is email address. In this case, it's andrew@epc.training. So this is the landing. As you can see, it opened in a new window, so it's fairly clean once they get in there. If you go directly to this page and you're not logged in as an EGIA member, it just bounces you back and sends you back to the EGIA website and says, oh, you need to log in before we can let you in to this space. They want to change this back to Contractor University link because it's no longer valid. So that's one change so far. So the front end, this is just a top level masthead for quick access, website tutorial on how to use the site, doing a search by keyword, and then these are that popular search items, those tags that I talked about for easy access. Some people call their metrics benchmarks, some people call them KPIs. We have specific definitions for them, but we try to match the words that contractors might use. There are 5 sections. The home page, which we're on, just a more advanced search the library. Business evaluation tool is the place where they answer those questions, and I'll show you that in more detail. Ask the Experts is that form for support queries. And then there's a member's progress report that talks about what the contractor's done, how they've answered the questions from the business evaluation tool, what videos they've looked at, those kinds of things. This is a list of the, I think there are 19 right now, 18 core business principles. So right now we have a concept that if it's assigned to a specific industry vertical, that you would add, like, great, I want to see, right now it's general, and you want to also see all the plumbing content, you also want to see the electrical content. They want to change the way that works to be more inclusive. We might default to everything's included, and then they can turn them off if they don't do them. We don't have the definitive plan yet, but they are doing a design file, and EGI will tell us what we want to do. So just like the back end, here's leadership principles, where you click in, and in leadership principles you'll see that there are 10 sub-principles. We call them best practices in the front end, and then they're labeled 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, again for easy discussion with contractors to say, just go look into section 1.3 to find the content on core values that you're looking for. Here's 1.1, and it lays out the business principles, a description of what this section means. Here are the videos and documents that are associated with this best practice. This is the business process evaluation, so the questions that we ask. And then they have specific people for consultants, and also another support form if they want to access individuals for further help. So this is just the layout of the videos, the description, and the author and the title, just exactly like the form was in the back end. In this case, this one has 7, 8, wow, a whole bunch of videos. Whole bunch of videos, and then one document, and then there's that view button, and then a download button, the author. We added the word logo so they'd know what the editable format of this one is. If it's just PDFs, that would just be PDF. So the business evaluation is the next section, and this is where the questions are asked. So does the company understand the need to have written communicated operating plan? So no, not done is the status. They could hypothetically just write a name and Joe Schmo is responsible for this for future reference, and the priorities. So at any point in time, each contractor, we suggest as a best practice, should have 5 must-do priorities that they're working on. And then they have a whole bunch of need-to-dos and then a whole bunch of nice-to-dos. Once they get to yes, executed well, it just turns into a happy face because they've done this piece of work already. But if it's just needs improvement, it now also goes back to the A, B, and C, must do, need to do, nice to do. And then associated with each question, does the company understand this? These are the documents and videos that they can watch to help them turn this question from a no to a yes. And so that's the rest of the detail on this. And then there's question 2. Does it have a process in the planning where they talk about this stuff? Yes, no. And again, the specific documents and videos that will support the turning that question from a yes to a no. And then they have to save changes, because if they don't save changes, they're going to lose that. They're going to lose that data. And then they have the ability to print this document out, which will have the layout, will have the questions, it'll have the support documents, and let them know the status. So this is just a print form. I haven't heard anyone wanting to change the way this print form works, but it's very similar to just what how the page is loaded itself. I'll just click Save Changes. Last updated. Okay, yeah. Okay, answer, and this is a little nice green box. It tells us it's uploaded, saved successfully, and then the last page. And again, this is associated with each best practice or business sub-principle. So this form, Ask the Expert form, will come out, and they can fill it out and ask a very specific question. This is the other thing. All these Ask the Expert forms, we're going to change these to text boxes for address so that Canadians and Australians, we're not going to do country specific. They can just free form put whatever they want in the address and contact information. For the consultants to answer these questions, knowing city and state just helps them realize what they're probably selling. If they're in Florida, they're not selling furnaces. If they're in New England, they are selling some air conditioning, but not a lot. So just the contractor can answer questions more effectively if we know where their physical address is for their location. And then there's an advanced search. So anyway, that's the way from the training homepage that a contractor might navigate through, pick a section they like, they see the best practices, and then they can just keep drilling down and finding the content that they want. They consume the content. Here's one on running a daily service huddle. And then they can answer the questions about whether Gary's not loaded any questions for this one, so that's good to know. And then they can also ask the expert on each best practice business sub-principle. Then if they want to do a more extensive search, they can just go to the search, just search here. You can just search for everything, or you can limit it, like, hey, I'm trying to remember, I saw a video on leadership, and you could just say leadership. Great, they give you some changes. You choose video only, you hit go, and there you are. You've got just videos that are tagged as leadership videos. And there should be a whole bunch of them. Yes, there are a whole bunch of them. Okay, and as I said, each time you access a video or access this page, the log system on the back end here records it. Oh, I'm actually going to log back out. It's not going to be happy that I'm logged in as admin. And as a user on the same browser session. Well, we'll see if this breaks. Okay, business evaluation tool. This is a more specific, oh, yeah, well, it logged me right back out. See, look at that. So apparently if you log out in multiple accounts, oops, I just logged out again. I'm going to log back in. That's the danger of being an admin and user testing from the same browser. I'm sure you guys have run into that before. So I'm going to log back in. Their site is really slow. I mean, I think you can see how slow it is. And our site is not this slow. But wow, this is slow. Contractor training, back to contracting best practices, library, and back into here to EGIA. We went over search. You saw how that worked. Business evaluation tool. So that's if someone wants to go through their entire company all at once and go through the process of answering these questions. So there are 2 questions on leadership, 1 on developing a vision, 1 on core, 1 on culture, 1 on goal setting, 2 on leadership for execution, 3 on developing a succession plan, and they can go through all of these questions. And so I've answered these 2 questions as no, but you can click edit and change the way the questions are answered, get them to yes, see the content. Again, it's just another way to access the business practices, business evaluation tools. You can answer the questions as you go, or you can just go through and answer them all at once. Save changes again. I think there was a request here to like have a next button that would bring the customer through, so that might come through in the list of enhancements that we ask for. Ask the expert, again, straightforward form. We want to internationalize it by using generic, and then they provide all the consultants in the business who someone might want to reach out to directly, now that they're a member of the website. And then finally, the member progress report. I think this hasn't gotten a lot of use, but as you can see, my test account, I've unanswered 84% of the questions, so I've only answered a handful of questions. How many yeses, how many nos, and percent answered. It just helps give them a sense of, so some of these guys will have multiple employees in here, so an owner might send a general manager in there, and he might want to see them answer all the questions before they keep going. It also shows what items have been downloaded from the system. So again, an owner can check on the manager to see if he's actually downloading and what videos they've watched. Did they watch the basics on it, SEO basics video, or not? Again, a way to test his employees. This chat support item is just a plugin, just a JavaScript plugin that goes directly to an EGIA customer support person. Again, a second access to Ask the Expert, member ID, and then again, we're going to change that link. So that's the nuts and bolts of this system. If you do click on Back to Contractor University, I think it's kicking you out or bringing you all the way back to the home page of EGIA, and instead we want to get that sent to, I believe it's member dashboard. So when they click out, and they've tried changing this a couple times or redirecting the other page to this, and it hasn't worked. So that'd be one of the changes that we want to make. I think that is it for now. I will, please hit me up with more questions, or I can review this with someone directly if that makes more sense. Thanks.